And we're live. Yes. Much success had by all. Welcome everyone to the political... No, it's not recap, it's Wednesday. What is this? Oh, PMQs for the 20th of January 2021. It's been a busy day in the United Kingdom, mostly in my room. Oh boy. Where I have been doing stuff. Talked about on Twitch. Go follow. In politics, though, a few things have happened. I'm sure many of you are aware of something happening over in America that, quite frankly, no one cares about because it's just a return to the status quo that people voted against 4 years ago. All right. In the UK, though, there have been a number of issues that have arisen, and these issues have caused some problems. If anyone's also wondering why I put that image on the screen instead of the video, for some odd reason, whenever I tab out of the video, it grays the screen. I appear to have forgotten how to talk. I'm very sorry. And because of this issue, I'm putting an image there temporarily. So now we know it's all set up. I can tab into the video, which I can't do because, rather stupidly, it wasn't at the correct time. Aha! I have found the correct time. Okay. There's an ad, though. Okay, we're not going to go there just yet. I'm going to wait for this poxy ad to end. I do apologise for the ads. I forgot to turn or to get ad block. So if you see any during the stream, I will just mute the video straight away. So you don't have to. When screen, yes. Thank you for that. Bugger. That moment where you accidentally hit the wrong tab. I hate this. Right. Do not get me an ad. Okay. Hello to Leona. Hello Sammy. Welcome to Moistonia. Hello Lulubel. Hello Russell Burnham. Hello Normie the Navi. Hello Damien Freeman. Hello Master Admin of the Anvil. Hope you're all well, please. Oh, it's secondhand. It's Laura's Bish. Hi. Hope you're well. Hope you had a good time over Christmas together. Hello, Karma. Is the UK still standing? We're doing better than you guys. And I watched your inauguration. The cringy singing was bad enough. Alright, let's get rid of the image. There we go. We now has video. Okay. Hello, Great Sky Troll Anti-Drama. Where's the yelling? Well, there's not much of it here. You might also notice in the top corner, over here, it's because, yet again, I've had to rely on a different source to get a decent quality of the video. Get on with it. Well, now you just make me want to end the stream and leave it like this, because I'm a dick. It's to cover the watermark from whoever thinks they own the copyright over freely available politics. The pain is felt. Understood.
Prime Minister.
Right.
I will first call the Prime Minister to answer the engagements question, and then I will call Alex Shelbrooke to ask his supplementary. Prime Minister.
So I'm going to start with the following. Expect virtue signalling.
Mr. Speaker, I know members from across the House will want to join me and echo you in congratulating President-elect Biden on his inauguration later today. As I said when I spoke with him on his election as President, I look forward to working with him and with his new administration, strengthening the partnership between our countries and working on our shared priorities, from tackling climate change, building back better from the pandemic, and strengthening our transatlantic security.
I like that nobody has said special relationship. It's almost like that's dead.
Mr. Speaker,
Hello, Leo.
our sympathies also go out to those affected by the latest floods, and I want to thank the Environment Agency and our emergency services for the work they're doing to support these communities, and I'll be chairing a Cobra meeting.
Yeah, we'll do some
later
more
on
clapping
to
later, don't
coordinate
worry.
The national response. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others, and in addition to my duties in this House, I'll have further such meetings later today.
How incredibly exciting.
Right, let's head up to Yorkshire with Alex Shelbrooke. Alex Shelbrooke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And may I start by fully associating myself with all of the Prime Minister's opening comments. Mr. Speaker, will the Prime Minister join me in welcoming the fact that free school meal pupils in Elmet and Rothwell will continue to receive free lunches over the forthcoming school holidays, thanks to the winter grant fund provided to Leeds City Council by this government?
Ah, you've got to love a nice little plant to show where they are, in fact, getting it right. Okay. Somebody made a point last week about school lunches and mentioned that a lot of parents are complaining about what the kids are getting. And the complaint was, and it's actually a point I hadn't considered, was that parents were complaining not because of what the kids were getting, as if it wasn't enough to begin with, when in reality it's a lunch, not meant to be a feast. Hello, Lisleys. But that the parents themselves wanted some of that action. And that's why some don't get vouchers anymore, because they can't be trusted to not go and spend it on themselves. It's like that thing about child support as a benefit. Bit of a strange one.
Yes, indeed, Mr. Speaker. I can confirm that eligible
ads.
pupils in Leeds will
Sorry.
continue to receive free school meal support.
As a heads up, I'll make sure ad block is on next weekend when next week we do this. Seriously.
Over the February half term, and this Conservative government has given over £2 million to Leeds City Council through the COVID winter grant scheme to support vulnerable families in the coldest months. And it is the intention of this government, this side of the House, that no child should go hungry this winter as a result of the COVID pandemic.
Damien, interestingly, I know that my niece's school, they ban certain foods. And so they will confiscate certain items, like chocolate bars, and hell, actually, my oldest niece is very lactose intolerant. So because they're accommodating, but they're not really accommodating, she ends up at best with a rather embarrassing meal and an even more embarrassing dessert. The same dessert every day, because it's the only one they can get their hands on, a cookie. Also, because my niece is being a bit of a dick. She won't eat fruit or vegetables. She really does set herself up to fail at that point.
Let's come to the Leader of the Opposition, Right Honourable Keir Starmer.
I'm doing this to annoy someone. No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna preface this part by saying Keir Starmer had a point in every section, but he kind of falls short. Embarrassingly, which is kind of tragic.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I also welcome the inauguration of President Biden and Vice President Harris? It's a victory for hope over hate and a real...
Oh, shut the fuck up.
moment.
The annoying thing is, you know what? No. This hope over hate, that just tells me from the offset, you just think he's... No. I'm not going to be... No. So tempted. He's not the only one that does this, I should say, and it's quite irritating to me. It's irritating for many reasons. It's a blind spot on history. You clearly ignore the positives in favour of just saying negative because everything about him's hate. Forgetting here why he even existed. He became the boogeyman to all of you because he was your antithesis. Antithesis? One of those two pronunciations I'm sure is correct. And it annoyed the more corporate politician. Honestly, hope over hate. Are you sure? Okay, well, I did a little thing earlier and I've kept the tweet aside. I'm going to keep hold of it, and I'm going to hold Biden to it. He said he's going to unify unity and healing. Hope is going to heal the nation. Okay. I'm going to hold you to that. I had this little conversation earlier with a friend, and I said that it was very interesting that Obama clearly had everything done so well. He did such a great thing for America, and I said, that's interesting, because you've dumped on Trump, cause. Now let me tell you where Obama fundamentally failed, shall we? 8 years in office, not a single year of economic growth. You can try and tie that to Bush if you like, because that's the only scapegoat you've got. He said he'd close Guantanamo Bay. He failed. He initiated more airstrikes than any other president before him. He said he'd pull out of nations. In fact, he invaded more. do I need to continue? Oh, by the way, the Dear Colleague letter that became a fulcrum to justice in colleges, where instead of using innocent until proven guilty, you are guilty until proven innocent, which cost a number of colleges not only their ranks and ratings and funding, but also cost them millions of dollars in settlement fees. Right. Hope not hate though, right? And let's not forget here that, hello MAGA, let's not forget here as an add-on that many believe Biden to be just a carbon copy and regurgitation of Obama's policies. Which we know is true because he's already said he's going to initiate most of what Obama had tried to do and then just do cause reasons, scrap a load of Trump stuff because he doesn't like it. When it's proven to have been what could have worked, I like to see everyone then try not to blame Biden for not doing it or for pulling out of something that could have worked. But sure, I've ranted. Very sorry for the rant on Obama, but if you, to the friend who said this to me, if you can't think of something to criticize Obama for, that's what you need to know. Seriously.
For optimism in the US and
there was optimism before in the US when somebody said he wanted to make America great because it was falling apart
around the world. Can I also thank all of those on the front line helping to deliver the vaccine, including the NHS, who are...
You mean that same vaccine that the numbers have been dropping for in deliveries every day?
Are also doing so much to keep us safe under the most extraordinary pressure.
I'll be honest, they're doing a fantastic job. I can't criticise that, but I will admit, I'm getting so bored of this shit. And yet, Lulu Bell, honestly, the history books are going to remember that turn of phrase, Orange Man bad. Hopefully, when history is looked at and people see what skewed people's perception, perhaps his legacy will be shone in a brighter light, but I'm not sure.
Mr. Speaker, it's 10 days since the Home Office mistakenly deleted hundreds of thousands of vital criminal records, including fingerprints, crime scene data, and DNA records.
By the way, I knew nothing of this until today, because in the UK politics scene, things were focused on, and that's clever, I guess, but our attentions have been shoved elsewhere.
So can the Prime Minister tell the House how many criminal investigations could have been damaged by this mistake?
This is, by the way, what you're about to hear, the single most honest answer Boris has ever given. Right? I find that to be quite interesting, because he says something in politics you shouldn't say.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the Home Office is actively working to assess the damage, and as the Right Honourable Gentleman will know from the urgent question that was held in the House only a few days ago, they believe that they will be able to rectify the results of this complex incident, and they hope very much that they'll be able to restore the data in question.
Ah, damn it, it wasn't the answer I was hoping for. It must be the next question where he answers honestly. My apologies, you'll understand when he says it.
Mr. Speaker, that's not an answer to my question. And it was the most basic of questions. It was the first question that any Prime Minister would have asked of those briefing him. How many criminal investigations have been damaged? So let me ask the second basic question that any Prime Minister would have asked those briefing him. How many convicted criminals have had their records wrongly deleted?
Right.
I answered the first question entirely accurately, Mr. Speaker, because we don't know how many,
there
many cases
That's
might
the
be
answer.
frustrated.
That, by the way, isn't entirely true. But at the same time, it's something you don't say in politics. We don't know. Shouldn't say that, but you know what? We'll allow it.
The result of what has happened.
You'll understand why in a minute.
213,000 offence records, 175,000 arrest records, and 15,000 person records are currently being investigated because they are the subject of this problem.
That,
Mr. Speaker,
hang on. That is, by the way, a lot of records to go through. Isn't that a bit of a... considering the cock-up... Hello, Polydub and Astra. Hope you're both well. Oh, Astra. I'm sorry. I find it quite irritating because then that many police are going... Or that many... a lot of people, not that many. Not 400,000. A fair few are going to be not doing their normal job in favour of helping the Home Office correct their boomer moment.
A letter here from the National Police Chiefs Council. It makes it clear that 403,000 records from the police national computer may have been deleted. In addition to that, Prime Minister, this is from the National Police Chiefs Council. I'm sure has been briefed on this. In addition to that, 26,000 DNA records from the DNA database and 30,000 fingerprint records from the fingerprints database. So this isn't just a technical issue. It's about...
1 second. Thank you, the like button, for the £3 donation. I do, in fact, demand love. Like or dislike, I don't really mind. But yes, please consider smashing it.
Criminals not being caught and victims not getting justice. This letter makes clear that it includes data from criminals convicted of serious offences. It has impacted live police investigations already, and it includes records, including DNA, marked for indefinite retention following the conviction for serious offences. Mr. Speaker, that's the most serious offences. That's why it's indefinite retention. It's been deleted. So is the Prime Minister seriously telling us that 10 days after this incident came to light, he still hasn't got to the bottom of the basic questions, and he can't tell us how many cases have been lost, how many serious offenders this concerns, and how many police investigations have been investigated?
Right, so firstly, Normie, is Labour in any position to criticise this? No, of course not. They have no leg to stand on. Thank you, Astra, for the pronunciation help there. There is a lot of data. Yeah, so interestingly, this is him, Keir. Oh, geez, that's a pause face and a half, isn't it? That is Darth Starmer. Jesus. Where was I going with this? I was going somewhere. Oh, right. So basically, he's reeled out a load of numbers, which seems like a lot to go through, doesn't it? The big number is 403,000. Keep an eye on that. I do think he's done it to try and bamboozle a little, or to say, why hasn't this been resolved yet? Get it done, get it done. Get it done with a click of the finger, because we're the continuum. Thank you, Q Starmer. Oh, Darth Hindsight. That's better, Lulu Bell. You're right. Not Captain Hindsight. This is Darth Hindsight. Look at those eyes. I want a picture of that drawn. Yeah. Hello, Credible Threat. Starmer only has a 6% approval rating. Oh, that's fair.
Mr. Speaker, it's becoming a feature of the Right Honourable Gentleman's questions that he fails to listen to the answer that I've just given. And let me repeat, because he said that I think he gave a figure of 413,000. I've just
403.
done some maths briefly in my head. And if you look at if you add 213,000, 175,000, you get to plus 15,000, which is the numbers I get, Mr. Speaker, you get to 403,000. If only he'd bothered to do that essential, that swift computation in his head, he would have had the answer before he stood up and claimed not to receive it. It was there in
Yeah, this can be in record, mate. He said 3.
the previous answer, Mr. Speaker. Of course, it is outrageous that any data should have been lost, but at the moment, we are trying, as I said in my first answer, Mr. Speaker, we're trying,
Hello, Claudia.
I hope he heard, we're trying to retrieve that data.
I hope you're successful in retrieving that data, so it's one less thing he can hammer you for. You've got enough issues right now with the lockdown, the R rate going down, and yet we're all still stuck in this nonsense. I can feel myself getting fatter, hello socky, as time goes by. It's starting to do my fucking head in. Wait, why has that done that? Press play. Thank you.
The Prime Minister complains about not listening to answers. The figure I quoted was 403,000. That'll be in Hansard. So, Prime Minister, that was the figure, plus the 26,000, plus, I said 403,000, plus 26,000, plus 30,000. Let me try the next most simple question, Prime Minister, that you would have asked of anyone briefing. How long will it take for all the wrongly deleted records to be reinstated to the police database?
So this is a reasonable question, but it's a petty one because I know he'll want a government-issued, timeline. That's what he wants, right? Watch my videos. We're going to bed. I'm glad that I'm a sedative. I'm genuinely very glad about that. I think it's such a terrible... it's a good question, but at the same time terrible, because you're trying to put the government in a position where they have to tell you now when it'll be dealt with by, but they don't know everything yet anyway, so they can't guarantee any answer because they don't know exactly how many are actually missing. They have an estimated number, which was earlier mentioned at 403,000 of records, but they can't guarantee any of that. And yes, I want to go back to work as well, Normie. I do too.
How long it takes to recover them. I can tell them that people are working round the clock, having been briefed on this both by my staff and also, of course, by the policing minister. We're working round the clock on this issue. And any loss of data is, of course, unacceptable. But it is this government, thanks to the strong economy that we've had for the last few years, that we've been able to invest massively in policing and to drive crime down. And that is the most important thing of all, Mr. Speaker. And I have no doubt that we will be able to continue to do that by relying on excellent data.
That's 3 questions down, and I'll be honest, neither of these two look that good. Boris because he wasn't listening, and Starmer because he's trying to do that thing of getting explicit dates and it must be dealt with now, which we all see through that. No government can get things done. None. They can look impressive when they start to do things, but realistically it's not even sustainable. We've seen that from the vaccinations.
Yes, Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, the Home Secretary said that the Home Office was still washing through the data. We don't know where the records are, and they may have to be, if you can believe this, re-entered manually.
So, if they have to be re-entered manually, so bloody be it. Chances are some idiot put them in the recycle bin and hit, recycle. Yeah. And imprints though, right?
Which will obviously take a long, long time.
Then so bloody be it. Hire some people to do it.
The letter from the National Police Chiefs Council also makes clear that the obvious place to reinstate from, which is the DNA database or the fingerprint database, have themselves also been compromised. And so his answers needs to be seen in that light. Mr. Speaker, let me turn to another of the Home Secretary's responsibilities. Last night, the Home Secretary told a Conservative Party event that, and these were her words, on should we have closed our borders earlier, the answer is yes. I was an advocate, says the Home Secretary, of closing them last March. Why did the Prime Minister overrule the Home Secretary?
So yeah, this is an interesting one because I agreed with Priti Patel back then. It shouldn't have been left open at all. If you're going to do some kind of lockdown, it made no sense. Although Boris's answer is kind of wrong, and so we may as well let him have his moment.
Mr. Speaker, I think it was last March that the Right Honourable Gentleman, along with many others, was actually saying that we didn't need to close borders, but as...
Keir Starmer wasn't elected or selected as leader of the opposition until April.
As usual, Captain Hindsight has changed his tune to suit
Darth
events.
Hindsight.
We are facing, and it's interesting that his first few questions were about a computer glitch in the Home Office, Mr. Speaker, which we're trying to rectify. We're in the middle of a national pandemic, and this country is facing a very, very grave death toll. And we are doing everything we can to protect the British public, which is, I think, what he would expect. And that's why we've instituted one of the toughest border regimes in the world. That's why we insist that you have to get a test 72 hours before you fly. There must be a passenger locator form, which you have to provide, Mr. Speaker, and then you must quarantine for 10 days or 5 days if you do a second test. And it's all very, I'm delighted that he now praises the Home Secretary. In fact, a good change of tune from the Right Honourable gentleman. And I'm delighted that he's now in favour of tough border controls, because he wasn't last year, Mr. Speaker, and indeed...
Yeah, the border thing's an interesting one because it does show people's hypocrisy. I still maintain that aspect. If you're going to make everyone else in the country just suddenly stop, then why are you letting people come here or leave? It made no sense. But then I get the retrospect thing of people didn't understand the virus enough. Virus, yeah.
He campaigned for the leadership of the Labour Party on a manifesto to get back to free movement, Mr. Speaker.
He talks of hindsight. What the Home Secretary said last night, Prime Minister, it's not disputed, is that she was saying last March, this is not hindsight, she, the Home Secretary, was saying to the Prime Minister, you need to shut your borders. She was saying it. So I repeat the question that the Prime Minister avoided. Why did he overrule the Home Secretary who claims that she said last March that we should shut our borders?
Right, so I'm going to give the funny answer. Ready, everyone? Brace yourselves. It's that time of year again. He didn't shut the borders because Dominic Cummings needed to go for an eye test. There you go. And it was in, like, Malaga.
Mr. Speaker, we've instituted one of the toughest border regimes in the world, and it was only last March that he, along with many others in his party, were continuing to support an open border approach. And I must say that the whole experience of listening to the right
He's
honourable
not answering.
gentleman
This is
over the last
question
few
5.
months, has really been like listening to a weather vane, watching a weather vane spin round and round, depending on where the breezes are blowing. And we're getting on, Mr. Speaker, with tackling this pandemic through the most practical means that are available to us, rolling out a vaccine programme that has now inoculated 4.2 million people in our country.
We're doing a census this year, and there's over 65 million. Well, yeah, that's impressive, isn't it? Especially when the daily vaccination numbers are going down.
And whereas he would have joined the EU scheme, if I seem to remember, he attacked the vaccine task force, which secured the supplies on which we are now relying. And
I will say this. Now, Keir Starmer might deny this, but he has been quite critical of every facet of what has been this rather lengthy, year-long... He hasn't been critical of the NHS. He's always been very much a supporter of them, and so I can't hammer him for that. But when it came to the government policies in handling this, yes, he has. And the task force thing, he has been a bit on the, pessimistic side, I guess. But he hasn't really, he hasn't really been too aggressive. But I think criticising is reasonable. Hello, Sad Ken. And as far as, is Boris' speech more fumbled than normal? Well, he hasn't answered the question, I'll be honest, And yes, for the downvotes, thank you. I always appreciate this. Up or down, I don't care. It's engagement. Seriously, I really don't care.
He stood on a manifesto, Mr. Speaker, at the last election to unbundle the very pharmaceutical companies on whose breakthroughs this country is now relying.
You mean the same ones that took so long that, the only people that are going to do okay from this are going to be those that, have money elsewhere. Because the rest of us are going to get taxed to oblivion. Yeah. Or not have any work at all. Because the businesses we worked for, or did work for, went out of business. Or will go out of business when you tax them into oblivion to make back the money you paid them.
They continue to look backwards, to play politics, to snipe from the sidelines. We look forwards and get on with the job.
Let the weather vane take me up to Wales.
Oh, that was his last question. All right. Well, you know what then? You know what time it is? Yes, it is, in fact, that time of year, a time of week even. Oh, as an ad. Hang on. I'm going to put the PMQ image back on the screen. I'm going to mute the video. I'm going to skip ahead a little, wait for the ad to finish. Do forgive me. Just got to wait for this ad to finish. By that I mean give me the 5 seconds so I can skip you piece of shit. There we go, right. Audio back. Get rid of the image. Pull up the chat. There we go. There you go. You're welcome.
Everyone in the Aylesbury.
So, oh god. Right. I want you to be very much aware of some much needed virtue signalling. We all needed this in our lives. Hello, Theodore Ichabod. Ichabod? Ichabod? That reminds me of a YouTube creator, I think. Hope you're well, by the way, Theodore. Yes.
We're on track to deliver a first vaccine to everyone in the top 4 cohorts.
Okay, so prepare for some
mid-February,
virtue signalling,
including
everyone.
The people of Aylesbury.
Let's head up to Scotland with the leader of the SNP, Ian Blackford. Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This afternoon, millions around the world will breathe a massive sigh of relief when President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are sworn into office. The Democratic removal of Donald Trump gives us all hope that better days are ahead of us, that days will be a little
Calamity.
bit brighter. Turning the page on the dark chapter of Trump's presidency isn't solely the responsibility of President Joe Biden. It is also the responsibility of those in the Tory party, including the Prime Minister, who cozied up to Donald Trump and his callous worldview. Mr. Speaker, this morning, the former Prime Minister, the member for Maidenhead, accused the current Prime Minister of abandoning moral responsibility on the world stage by slashing international aid. So if today is to be a new chapter, if today is to be a new start, will the Prime Minister begin by reversing his cruel policy of cutting international aid for the world's poorest?
How about the United Kingdom stop being the bank for other countries and reduce it so that they themselves can be a little more self-sustaining? I don't want to say him reading off a cue like this is quite strange. It's a bit weird. I really don't like it that much. The question is retarded, and yes, I said that word. If you're annoyed by that, see you later. In the context of what he's asked, it is clearly from somebody who's mentally defective. I did tweet directly at him for his intellectual dishonesty, for his absolutely ideologue-riddled nonsense. I think I called him a number of things. I called him a porky paper pervert. There's another word beginning with P in there, but I can't remember what it was. As far as I'm concerned, people like this, Caroline Lucas, they don't serve the interests of the people by simply championing Biden as if he stands for hope, when, I'll be honest, he only stands because I assume there's some kind of brace going through his system, and because he doesn't know how to sit down, and if he does sit down, he'll probably never stand again. It's utterly ridiculous. And I don't care for foreign aid at the best of times, because we have our own issues. That's always been my view. Let's deal with our house first, and if we have, then help. This idea of just helping because we can, yet we then have to live with the consequences, isn't ideal. And right now, financially, we don't have the resources. We had to borrow hundreds of billions that will have to be paid back. And it's not going to be an easy one, is it? And I know Calamity mentioned something about, where was it? Stop paying taxes. You won't get a bloody choice at this point. They'll probably just raid everyone's accounts. So I see no problem with the layman using it. Oh, fantastic. It's used in trucking as a process of retardation. So I'm calling you a truck.
Mr. Speaker, I think it's very important the Prime Minister of the UK has the best possible relationship with the President of the United States. That's part of the job description, as I think.
Oh, yeah, but guilty by association, don't you know? How dare you engage with a president who's a businessman that wanted to sort out a deal with us, who wanted it to work for both countries, because it would. A deal between the US and the UK would be hugely beneficial to both of us. And it wouldn't be bound to EU tariffs or EU rules. No. We're talking good deals. Sadly, we're at the back of the line because Biden is regurgitating Obama's sticking points of just getting closer to the EU. That special relationship has been shoved up someone's arse. I would assume up Boris's. And he's probably into it, to be fair. That is the look of a man who takes it. For Carrie.
I think all sensible members opposite would acknowledge. And when it comes to global leadership on the world stage, this country is embarking on a quite phenomenal year. And we've already, with the G7, with COP26, and we've already led the world with the Gavi Summit for global vaccination, raising $8 billion. It was the UK, the first major country
and
in the world
I agree.
to set a target of net zero carbon emissions by 2050. All other countries are following. We hope that President Biden will join us. We're working to promote global free trade. And of course, Mr. Speaker, we'll work with President Biden to secure the Transatlantic Alliance and NATO, which of course the Scottish Nationalist Party would unbundle. Well, I think they would. I don't know what their policy is on our armed services. I think they would break them up. Perhaps they'd like to explain.
It's the Scottish National Party. I know you keep having a memory lapse on it. Ian Blackford.
Oh, hang on. The like button. I said love me hard. Thank you for the £2 donation. Like, dislike, don't mind in the slightest. Smash it. Oh, yeah. Right. Interestingly, Ian Blackford's gone. He apparently didn't like that answer and he rage quit.
We've lost Ian Blackford. We'll come back.
Yeah, we lost him. What a shame. As we're done, yeah, I don't really know what to say beyond that. It's been a rather bad display this week, I will admit. But I'm kind of hopeful that if this vaccine goes to plan and we can finally have more people back in the chamber, perhaps we'll get something interesting for once. I do think Keir Starmer hit Boris in all the right places, and Boris didn't answer most questions, and he did kind of offer a truth here or there, but then he undid it. Question 3 and 2 being more notable for that. Yeah. We shall be, for those who are interested, if you haven't noticed already, be back here on Friday for a political recap with Trups LP. And yes, of course, the conversation will be the inauguration. The cringy inauguration. A Bible bigger than my house. And J-Lo standing in front of him, of the 46th President of the United States, whether legitimate or not, that's for you to decide, and started bellowing out random tunes that I couldn't give a monkey's about. Or the rather ridiculous dress that Gaga wore. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, thanks for joining. I'll see you on Friday. Peace out, nerds. And hello, Maximilian Robespierre. Sorry you're a bit late. Bye.